I have a question for you. What were you doing when you were 12 years old? Were you playing outside or maybe playing video games like any other kid would do? Scott Wood at that age was already participating in math competitions, making it like he would know everything because he was answering the questions before the announcer was able to finish.
And the next question is, what is the value of 255? Scott.
5,000.
5,000 is the correct answer.
Who would have thought that that kid, 14 years later, will be responsible for one of the greatest AI programs of all time, DEVIN AI?
Hey, I'm Scott from Cognition AI, and today I'm really excited to introduce you to Devin, the first AI software engineer.
Today, we will look at the life of Scott Wood and all the things he went through to become one of the great geniuses of our generation. He was born in Louisiana in an ordinary household, but he was not an ordinary kid. When he was just 9 years old, play days turned into sessions with his brother Daniel's abandoned coding project. He wasn't just playing video games, he was dismantling the PCs. The monitor's flickering light painted an abstract landscape across Scott's face. Rows of code started appearing like a secret language, a language that he wanted to talk with his computer. When all that text became a dancing pixel, it was magic. Scott's first contact with coding became a passion that years later would become DEVIN AI. He wrote on X, "I first learned to program when I was 9 years old, and I fell in love with the ability to turn ideas into reality. Now, teaching AI to code at Cognition Labs has been a dream come true." Scott achieved a perfect score of 100 in an international Olympiad in informatics, showcasing his exceptional mathematical abilities since a young age. Wu became a figure of whisper legend in the fluorescent hallways of Glasgow Middle School. The Wood Kid, they called him, not the star athlete, but the kid who bent equations the way a sculptor bends clay. He soon became a master in a competitive program, an elite sport where the mind is your muscle. That was his calling. It wasn't enough to just solve problems, he solved them with speed and elegance, unseen even among the best. His competitive coding handle became a badge of honor on platforms like Codeforces, earning him the coveted title of a legendary grandmaster. You can also read things like, "Oh my God, I didn't know that Scott Wood was behind this." Anyone into competitive programming knows how much of a legend Scott is. That is why there's no surprise for such a great product like DEVIN AI. And there is no doubt that this legendary status is only starting, because in a world turning into AI, Scott is making an AI that can train another AI.
Hey guys, today I'm going to show you an AI training an AI. So here we're going to take the QLoRa repo, which is a fine-tuning method for quantizing large language models. We're going to feed this repo to our agent, Devin, and all we have to ask Devin is to fine-tune a 7B llama model. Devin clones the repo, figures out how to run it using the README, sets up all of the requirements using pip, looks through all the scripts, and is able to start running the training job. There are a few hiccups where Devin runs into some CUDA issues, which is to be expected with open source repos, but it's not a problem. Devin looks at the NVIDIA environment, and figures out how to reinstall the packages to make it work. After a few more runs, figure out the correct model names, Devin successfully gets the training run working. Here we see training proceeding smoothly, loss is going down, and after a few steps, looks pretty good. I tell Devin to wait as the training job runs. After about an hour, I come back, ask Devin, hey, how's the training going? Devin helps me look. A few hundred steps are done now, and everything is still proceeding smoothly. Looks great. Thanks, Devin, for helping me set up my training run.
And then it was Harvard, the pinnacle of studies, the alma mater everyone dreams about. It was safe to assume that Scott would dive into computer science. But once he got the acceptance letter, a rebellious streak stirred within him. Wood's journey into the realms of math, contests, and programming was catalyzed by his older brother, Neil Wood, an accomplished math enthusiast and skilled coder. Economics was his choice, and seemed dry to some, but to Scott, it was a giant system to be understood. There was a strange elegance in how formulas describe behavior, how markets rose and fell with almost predictable patterns, much like the code he obsessed over. But as if it was a movie script, he made one of the most controversial decisions of his life. He dropped out of Harvard to pursue his dreams of entrepreneurship. Expectations were low. He was seen as just another dropout of the world's largest school. But in 2017, Wood would shatter perceptions as he claimed the prestigious queen for open bracket. It's hilarious, honestly. Even after his award, people thought that Wood wouldn't make it. Now, even his AI, Devin, is crushing it in places like Aqua, doing perfect jobs. That's the best way to prove haters that they are wrong, right?
Hey, I'm Walden, one of the developers here at Cognition AI. We were playing around with whether or not Devin could start a side hustle on Upwork. So here's an actual real job from Upwork where the client wants to set up this computer vision model, which actually looks quite interesting. It seems very difficult to set up. I'm not sure how I would start doing this, but you give the task to Devin and ask Devin to figure it out, and things just kick off. Devin immediately goes ahead, and you can see it sort of starts setting up the repo. It actually runs into some issues here with the versioning. So if you watch how Devin deals with it, Devin's actually updating the code to make these things work. He continues with this, loading and importing packages. You can see that actually downloads images from the internet to run through the model. But you can see here that there are actually some issues that come across. However, Devin knows how to handle these things. Devin kind of pushes through, and if you look closely, Devin's actually doing print line debugging here, where Devin is adding these statements to track where the data flows. And Devin continues to do this until Devin understands how everything's working and actually then updates the code with the fixes after removing print line statements. Devin continues this pattern of fixing code and running it again until it runs the image model across all of these rows across the world. And we can ask for a report from Devin. At which point, Devin sends over some sample images of roads with damage marked out and a nice TXT file explaining Devin's work and the different kinds of outputs of the model. Good job, Devin.
Scott knew that he had to get out there and do something big, and Silicon Valley was like the option to be. Shiny, but a little scary. But even though it was like a great place to do something big. Launch Club was his first attempt in Silicon Valley, an AI-powered networking platform intended to facilitate the connection between two professionals. Was like the perfect spot to show everyone what he was made of. Things were going well, and then they hit a major score with Andreessen Horowitz, the American investing company, backing them with a sweet $4 million. Launch Club was definitely on the map, but Wood wasn't about to stop there. He had this other huge plan in his head, so he got his brother on board and they did the impossible. They made their own company called Cognition Labs. Cognition Labs came to life, backed by industry titans like Beatles, Steele's Founders Fund. It wasn't just Scott, but a team of programming medalists, ex-Google engineers, and a whole gang full by a shared vision. His older brother Nick, Scott's first coding mentor, and a formidable programmer in his own right, was an integral part of this dream team. Years of research and iteration culminated in DEVIN, an AI not just trained of mountains of code, but one that understood the underlying logic of programming itself. The demo was electrified, people watching awe as lines of code materialized on screen in real time, as if was magic. The tech world took notice of this and they realized that this would be a game changer. And here it is.
Hey, I'm Scott from Cognition AI, and today I'm really excited to introduce you to Devin, the first AI software engineer. Let me show you an example of Devin in action. I'm going to ask Devin to benchmark the performance of Llama on a couple different API providers. From now on, Devin is in the driver's seat. First, Devin makes a step-by-step plan of how to tackle the problem. After that, it builds the whole project using all the same tools that a human software engineer would use. Devin has its own command line, its own code editor, and even its own browser. In this case, Devin decides to use the browser to pull up API documentation so that it can read up and learn how to plug into each of these APIs. Here, Devin runs into an unexpected error. Devin actually decides to add a debugging print statement. Reruns the code with the debugging print statement, and then uses the error in the logs to figure out how to fix the bug. Finally, Devin decides to build and deploy a website with full styling as the visualization. You can see the website here. All of this is possible today because of the advancements that we've made in both reasoning and long-term planning. It's a really hard problem, and we've only just started, but we're super excited about the progress that we've made so far. In the meantime, if you'd like to try out Devin on your own real-world tasks, send us a request below, and we'd be happy to forward it to Devin.
Scott Wood isn't interested in simply building the next unicorn startup of grazing magazine covers. He's still driven by the same quiet intensity that fueled those early coding sessions in his childhood bedroom. Sure, there are the late nights, the caffeine-driven sprints, but beneath all is the belief that AI true power lies in unlocking that or the untapped potential of every person with an idea. But the debate goes on. Is DEVIN a tool to empower or a threat to every professional, especially to software engineers? Scott acknowledges these anxieties but offers a different vision. News cycles buzz with DEVIN's latest feeds, generating complex code in seconds, adapting to new programming languages with undeniable speed, even debugging its own output. Cognition Lab isn't just about coding, it's about breaking down the barriers of understanding that exists between humans and machines. What if? He mouses in an interview.
Hey, I'm Andrew, an engineer at Cognition, and I wanted to share a pretty amazing experience I had with Devin. So I maintain this big open source repository, which contains a lot of different algorithms used for competitive programming. A lot of people use it, and a few weeks ago, my friend texted me that there was actually a bug in one of the implementations. The implementation wasn't quite right when the inputs weren't relatively prime. I kind of glossed over that case when I was implementing it, so I never really thought about it. So I implemented a quick fix, and then I thought that I should test it, but I actually never really got around to writing any test cases. So I thought, if I don't want to do it, I should just ask Devin to do it instead. So I gave Devin the repository, asked Devin to just check it out and start working on it. So Devin, found the right repository, checked it out, found all files that are in the repository, and then I told Devin what test case I wanted him to write. I just told Devin, these are the inputs, and then try checking for these conditions for me. So Devin wrote the test without too much trouble. Devin just looked around to understand what exactly the test should look like and what exactly the interfaces were. And with this, Devin ran the tests, ran into a quick hiccup, which was a compiler, but Devin is able to solve those very effectively and just added an extra include to fix that. And then was done running this initial test. So then I asked Devin to actually expand the test a little bit. Instead of just testing this one input, I wanted Devin to test it on all inputs. So kind of the brute force testing strategy. I use this a lot in my tests, and I just wanted Devin to implement it so that I didn't have to worry about it. So Devin went and rewrote the test function to use 4 nested for loops. But this time, after Devin ran the tests, Devin actually found a test failure. And now, if the code were correct, there could be compilers in the test, but the tests seemed really pretty reasonable, so there probably shouldn't be a failure. So Devin went and tried to debug the program for me. So Devin here actually added a print statement to debug the outputs and the inputs to the failing test, reran the tests, and actually found which case was wrong. In this case, these are the inputs, and then the return value was actually -9. And the code I'm running actually should never really return negative values. So Devin realized this and actually went looking in the code that we're trying to test and actually added this line of code that if extra less than 0, extra plus equals, plus equals something. And in order to make sure that the return value was actually non-negative. So after fixing this, Devin actually reran the tests, and now I can be confident that my code is correct and I have some tests to prove it. Thanks, Devin.
What if one day AI could reason with us, explain itself, become not just a tool, but a collaborator? It's a question that many people is asking nowadays. It seems like we don't know yet where is this going, but hopefully we know that it's in the right hands. Yet, those who have followed Scott's journey from those childhood math competitions to the unveiling of Devin have learned not to underestimate the power of a mind that sees the world in code. The story of Scott Wood and DEVIN AI is far from over. It's a tale of childhood, curiosity, relentless problem solving, and the ambition to reshape how we interact with technology. But more importantly, it's all about the possibility that perhaps the greatest innovation aren't written solely in code, but in human spirit that drives us to one question, and is how we can build the future together. And every time you think about that little kid from Louisiana that dropped out of Harvard to pursue his dreams, remember, he already changed the world forever, so you can do it too.